राम 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 सर्वेभ्यः हृत्पूर्वक नमस्काराः। शिवानन्दलहर्याः कक्ष्यायां सर्वेषां स्वागतम्. A warm welcome to the 47th session of Shivanandalahari. We have completed 70 verses in the previous classes. We also had a revision session. So I hope you all are revising with the help of the recordings, like I said, based on a few observations made during our revision session last week. So this class, we will proceed from verse 71 onwards. Let us begin with Guru Vandanam. गुरुरेव गतिर्गुरुमेव भजे गुरुणैव सहास्मि नमो गुरवे न गुरोः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोः मतिरस्ति गुरौ मम पाहि गुरो श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् सौन्दर्यलहरी कर्त्रे सर्वमङ्गलदायिने शङ्कराचार्यवर्याय यतिराजाय ते नमः। शङ्कारूपेण मच्चित्तं पङ्कीकृतमभूद्यया किङ्करीयस्य सा माया शङ्कराचार्यमाश्रये प्रह्लादवरदो देवो यो नृसिंहः परो हरिः नृसिंहोपासकन्नित्यं तं नृसिंहगुरुं भजे श्रीसच्चिदानन्द शिवाभिनव्य नृसिंह भारत्यभिधान्यतीन्द्रान् विद्यानिधीन् मन्त्रनिधीन् सदात्मनिष्ठान् भजे मानवशम्भुरूपान् सदात्मध्याननिरतं विषयेभ्यः पराङ्मुखम् नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातं चन्द्रशेखरभारतीं विवेकिनं महाप्रज्ञं धैर्यौदार्यक्षमानिधिं सदाभिनवपूर्वन्तं विद्यातीर्थगुरुं भजे भारती करुणापात्रं भारती पदभूषणं भारती पदमारूढं भारती तीर्थमाश्रये भारती तीर्थवर्यन्तं भक्तहृत्तापनाशनं भवभीतिहरं देवं भावये सततं हृदि विद्या विनय संपन्नौ वीतरागौ विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्त तत्त्वज्ञौ विधुशेखर भारतीम् अनन्त गुण संपन्नामनन्ताभिधयाश्रुताम् अनन्त ज्ञानदात्रीं तां मातरं प्रणुमो वयम् गैर्वाण्या संविबोधेन जीवनं मौल्यसंयुतं या करोत्तान्नमाम्यम्बां शारदामूर्तरूपिणीम् कलाभ्यां चूडालङ्कृत शशिकलाभ्यां निजतपः फलाभ्यां भक्तेषु प्रकटितफलाभ्यां भवतु मे शिवाभ्यामस्तोकत्रिभुवन शिवाभ्यां हृदि पुनर्भवाभ्यामानन्दस्फुरदनुभवाभ्यां नतिर्यम्. Okay, so we will begin with the 71st verse. Charu. Arudha bhakti guna kunchita
आरूढभक्तिगुणकुञ्चित आरूढभक्तिगुणकुञ्चित
चापयुक्तैः शिवस्मरण
भावचापयुक्तैः शिवस्मरण भावचापयुक्तैः शिवस्मरण
बाणगणैरमोघैः
बाणगणैरमोघैः बाणगणैरमोघैः
निर्जित्य किल्बिषरिपून्
निर्जित्य किल्बिषरिपून् निर्जित्य किल्बिषरिपून्
विजयी सुधीन्द्रः
विजयी सुधीन्द्रः विजयी सुधीन्द्रः
सानन्दमावहति
सानन्दमावहति सानन्दमावहति
सुस्थिरराजलक्ष्मीम्
सुस्थिरराजलक्ष्मीं सुस्थिरराजलक्ष्मीम्
Tamam. So the first two lines, you see there is a hyphen. We don't stop. It's a samasta padam, but we paused for you to learn the first time. Arudha bhakti. Dha and bha are mahapranas. Bhava. Bha is mahaprana. Chapa yuktai shiva smarana. Please note the dritvam here. Shiva smarana. Last time in the revision also, I noticed some of you were not paying attention to the dvitvam, so that we must pay attention to chapayuktai shiva smarana. Sir must double here when you are chanting. Bana ganai ramoghaihi. Gha is mahaprana. Nirjitya kilbisharipun vijayi sudhindraha. Dhi mahaprana. Sanandamavahati susthira. Note the dvitvam again here. Susthira. Sir is doubling. Raja Lakshmi. We'll do one pada at a time. Arudha bhakti guna kunchita bhavachap.
आरूढभक्तिगुणकुञ्चितभावचाप आरूढभक्तिगुणकुञ्चितभावचाप
We don't split there. From next time, we will chant both the padas together. Yuktai Shiva Smarana Bana Ganaira Moghaihi.
युक्तैः शिवस्मरणबाणगणैरमोघैः युक्तैः शिवस्मरणबाणगणैरमोघैः
निर्जित्य किल्बिषरिपून् विजयी सुधीन्द्रः.
निर्जित्य किल्बिषरिपून् विजयी सुधीन्द्रः निर्जित्य किल्बिषरिपून् विजयी सुधीन्द्रः
सानन्दमावहति सुस्थिरराजलक्ष्मीम्.
सानन्दमावहति सुस्थिरराजलक्ष्मीम् सानन्दमावहति सुस्थिरराजलक्ष्मीम्
Uttamam. Now we'll do two padas at a time. Arudha bhakti guna kunchita bhavachapayuktai shiva smarana bana ganaira moghaihi.
आरूढभक्तिगुणकुञ्चितभावचापयुक्तैः शिवस्मरण बाणगणैरमोघैः आरूढभक्तिगुणकुञ्चितभावचापयुक्तैः शिवस्मरण बाणगणैरमोघैः
Once again, we need a lot of breath control. Okay. So you should take a deep breath and then try to chant both the lines together. Once again.
आरूढभक्तिगुणकुञ्चितभावचापयुक्तैः निर्जित्यकिल्बिषरिपून्विजयी शिवस्मरण बाणगणैरमोघैः.
Okay, we all must practice this to try and keep the breath. Nirjitya kilbisharipoon vijayi sudhindraha.
Two padas at a time.
Sanandamavahati susthirarajalakshmim.
निर्जित्यकिल्बिषरिपून्विजयी सुधीन्द्रः सानन्दमावहति सुस्थिरराजलक्ष्मीम्. निर्जित्यकिल्बिषरिपून्विजयी सुधीन्द्रः सानन्दमावहति सुस्थिरराजलक्ष्मीम्.
Uttamam. Now the entire verse. आरूढ भक्ति गुण कुञ्चित भावचापयुक्तैः शिव स्मरण बाण गणैरमोघैः निर्जित्य किल्बिष रिपून् विजयी सुधीन्द्रः सानन्दमावहति सुस्थिर राजलक्ष्मीम्.
आरूढभक्तिगुणकुञ्चितभावचापयुक्तैः शिवस्मरणबाणगणैरमोघैः निर्जित्यकिल्बिषरिपून्विजयी सुधीन्द्रः सानन्दमावहति सुस्थिरराजलक्ष्मीम्.
सुधीन्द्रः आरूढ भक्ति गुण कुञ्चित भावचाप युक्तैः अमोघैः शिवस्मरण बाण गणैः किल्बिषरिपून् निर्जित्य विजयी सानन्दं सुस्थिर राजलक्ष्मीम् आवहति. A very beautiful verse. This entire verse is one sentence when you put it in the form of an anvaya or prose order. Sudhindraha, that is the one who has conquered his internal enemies and who is the greatest among yogis, the Parama Yogi, Paramahamsa. Sudhindraha, the greatest among yogis who has attained Atmajnanam, Shivajnanam, Shivanandam, whatever we may call it. Sudhindraha Arudha Bhakti Guna Kunchita Bhava Chapa Yuktaihi. A beautiful word. Arudha means mounted. So what is mounted? Bhakti Guna Kunchita. And it is here, the description is of a bow and arrows. So we'll see what is the bow and what are the arrows. So Arudha, mounted. Bhakti Guna Kunchita. Bhakti is devotion. Guna is string. I think we saw this in one of the previous verses also. Guna also means qualities. Here it means string. Kunchita, it is bent. Bhava Chapa Yuktaihi. Bhava Chapa Yuktaihi means with devotion and bhakti and bhava, that is the thoughts and devotion. The bow is bent and it is tied. So if you imagine a bow, when you tie the string on top and then tie it below, we would have seen in how a bow is depicted, and also these bows which we have for in acting, etc., which they use. So the bow is bent, it is not straight, right? So it is tied, one end is tied on top, and when the other end is tied below, naturally you get that bend, that is the curve which you get. And only when a bow is bent like that and held, and it is fastened on both ends and it is bent, then the warrior, king, whoever, will be able to release the arrows. So that is how a bow and arrow function, right? So only when it is bent, fastened on both ends and bent, then the arrow is released. So that is how we would have also seen in the movies, etc., when the kings are waging a war how that bow is fastened and then it is released. So here, Arudha Bhakti Guna Kunchita Bhava Chapa Yuktaihi. So what is happening here is, sorry, the bow is bent. It is fitted to the, both the ends are fastened and it is bent. And why is it bent? Due to bhakti, that is devotion. Bhava chapa yuktaihi. So due to bhakti, which is tightly strung. So that bhakti itself is causing the bow to bend. And how is it? It is tightly fastened on, it is dridha bhakti, not ananya bhakti like Krishna says in Gita, not fleeting devotion, not fleet devotion for some time, like my guru used to say business bhakti and then you stop, not like that. Unflinching devotion, which is not fleeting and which is constant. Bhava chapa yuktaihi, which is, and that bhakti is dridha bhakti, tightly strung. So fitted to the curved bow of a bent, humble disposition due to the tightly tied string of devotion. So what does this mean? Only when the bhakta is bent out of humility, when that ahankara, mamakara are not there, when that vinaya is there, when humility is there, only that kind of a bhakta is eligible, or rather can get that Shivanandam, where that ahankara should be subdued. And by what? By the bow of bhakti. So only when that ahankara, that ego is subdued and one is humble, can one progress in this path of Shivanandam. That is the meaning here. My guru very beautifully used to say that all sadhakas, everyone in the spiritual path, the code number or the phone number is 0. So only when you dial 0, you will get that Shivanandam, or you will reach Bhagavan. And what is that 0? She used to say that we know only one code number, that is 0. 0 means only when your ahankara becomes 0, you will get that Atmajnana. Even when you have little bit, an iota of ahankara, it won't come. So that ahankara should be completely 0. Ego should be 0. And the mind and oneself completely should be surrendered, should be humble, and with bhakti, subduing all the internal enemies. That is what beautifully Shankaracharya says in the next verse. So he has described the bow, which is dridha bhakti, which is caused the bow to bend out of humility. Shiva smarana bana ganaihi. So what else do we have? All these words are in instrumental case. That is Tritiya Vibhakti, Karana Karakam. Here, Shiva smarana bana ganaihi, with not just one bana ganaihi, with bunches of arrows, or many arrows together in a bunch. With a bunch of arrows, what are the arrows? Shiva smarana. Shiva smarana itself are the arrows to this bow, which is bent due to bhakti or devotion. So subduing our ahankara and the internal enemies, and with the arrows called Shiva smarana. How are they? Amoghaihi. They are extremely great, and they are unfailing. They never miss the target. They are matchless, amogha. So that which cannot have a second. So those Shiva Banas, Shiva Smarana Banas are like that. That is the arrows of Shiva Smaranam are amogha. They are matchless. They are the best. They never miss their target. So those are the arrows, Shiva, with the arrows of Shiva Smarana. What do we do with this bow, which is bent, tightly fastened with bhakti, subduing ahankara, and with the arrows of Shiva Smarana, which are amogha? Kilbisha ripun nirjitya. With these instruments, like I described, the bow and the arrows, Kilbisha ripun, the enemies, nirjitya, having conquered. What are the enemies? For us, we have all are internal enemies. Kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. That is lust, anger, greed, delusion, and pride, ego, and jealousy. So many more which are born out of these with different names. But these are the Arishad Vargas, like they're called. Ari means enemies. Shat means six. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. So these six Arishad Vargas, it is a group of internal enemies which all of us have. So the aim of any spiritual practice of bhakti, anything, is to conquer these internal enemies and attain the chitta shuddhi. And conquering these internal enemies is a very integral part of progressing in this path of Shivanandam. Because only when these internal enemies are conquered can the mind reflect jnanam, and can you attain Atma Jnanam. Therefore, with these arrows of Shiva Smarana, so very beautifully he is putting it here that, the beauty of these verses is um, whatever has been told in sadhana chatushtayam, shamadhi shatka, etc., which is the practices which are prescribed for spiritual growth, all that in a very beautiful way, using alankara, comparisons, and in a way in which everyone can appreciate. Shankaracharya is giving us succinctly the essence in these verses. That is the greatness of stotrams like Shivanandalahari. So he's saying that you attain chitta shuddhi by conquering the internal enemies. And what are the arrows for that? They are nothing but Shiva Smarana. Therefore, we have all this puja, nitya puja, and chanting, listening, being in satsanga. All these will lead to that chitta shuddhi through Shiva Smarana. So with the arrows of Shiva Smarana, having conquered Kilbisha, Ripun, all the internal enemies, Nirjitya, Vijayi, he becomes victorious. Such a person who is a truly victorious person, not the one who has conquered more land and, who not measuring by how much land a person has or a country has. That is not victory. Victory is when you conquer your internal enemies. Sudhindraha, Vijayi, he is victorious after conquering the internal enemies. And it's not very simple. It happens for great blessed souls. It might happen soon. For others, it takes many, many births, many across janmas. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. Yatataanapi siddhanam kaschid mam vetti tatvatah. So in thousands, few aspire to get siddhi, and out of those, again a few get siddhi. But of course, it happens across janmas. So kilbisha ripun nirjitya sudhindraha vijayi bhutva sanandam, abounding with joy. This is nothing but Shivanandam. See how every verse, the title is so apt. Shivanandalahari. So sanandam, with that bliss. Susthira Raja Lakshmi. Very beautiful word again. Raja Lakshmi. That is here, the literal meaning is the Lakshmi, or the treasure or prosperity of the kingdom. Raja Lakshmi. How is she? Susthira, which is permanent, not fleeting. And here the reference is Raja Lakshmi means that ultimate Paramapurushartha of moksha, liberation. Susthira Raja Lakshmim Sanandam Avahati. Such a yogi, Sudhindraha, the best among yogis, the king of yogis, who is victorious. How is he victorious? By conquering his internal enemies, Kilbisha Ripun, Nirjitya, with the bow which is bent due to Dridha Bhakti, and by the arrows of Shiva Smarana. Having conquered the internal enemies, such a yogi enjoys or acquires or permanently is in that state of moksha and attains susthira Raja Lakshmi, that which is not fleeting, which is permanent. Sanandam, with abounding joy and bliss. That is the state of Atman, right? That is our Nija Swarupa. Ananda Swarupa is our Nija Swarupa. We fail to realize because of avidya, ajnanam. So having attained that blissful state of Shivanandam, such person always experiences that Raja Lakshmi. This is the meaning of this verse. Now, again, a play on words like we see in every verse. Here, Shankaracharya is referring to a warrior who is conquering the enemies. So if you take it in that way, then Sudhindraha refers to that great warrior or a king. Susthira Raja Lakshmi, note the use of the words. Because he is referring to a warrior, for a king, what do they aspire? Raja Lakshmi. They aspire for the kingdom. So he has used the word Raja Lakshmi. However, how is that kingdom? All the any kingdom we have seen, we continue to see, we have seen in history, nothing is permanent. No dynasty was permanently established, right? The Raja Lakshmi is fleeting. Once it will be with one dynasty, then the another dynasty will come. So kings have fought wars, lost kingdoms. And Lakshmi, when you take Lakshmi in the sense of material prosperity, not in the sense of Parabrahma Swarupini Lakshmi, not referring to her, who is Parabrahma Swarupini herself. But when you take Lakshmi in the sense of material prosperity, then a very essential trait, characteristic of material prosperity is it is not permanent. It is always fleeting. And she is very chanchala. That is material prosperity. Lakshmi is very chanchala. Reminds me of a very beautiful instance from Bana's Kadambari. It is a very beautiful gadyam in Sanskritam, a prose, Bana's Kadambari. There, Shukanasa, one of the ministers, when the Yuva Raja is going to have the coronation ceremony, that is going to become the heir apparent. Just before the coronation ceremony, the minister, very wise minister Shukanasa, he advises the Yuva Raja, who is like his own son, whom he considers like his own son. There he speaks about four anartha parampara, four things which cause downfall for a person. And he says Garbheshwaratvam, that is being born with a lot of riches, which that is for the Yuvaraja. In that case, it applies because he's born in the king's family. Abhinava Yauvanatvam, his youth. Apratima Rupatvam, unmatched, good looking youth and unmatched looks. And Amanusha Shaktitvam, that is having superhuman qualities or something which others don't have. In this context, he says Raja Lakshmi, he describes a huge, he speaks of Raja Lakshmi, advising the Yuva Raja how the Raja Lakshmi is chanchala. She is not permanent. And how kings, when they get attached to the Raja Lakshmi, that is material prosperity, how it causes their downfall if they are not careful. And so in that context, he says how she is always moving from one person to the other, never stays with one person. Therefore, that is how material prosperity is by nature. But here, very aptly, Shankaracharya has said, Susthira Raja Lakshmi, not even Sthira, Susthira. So who is that state of Shivanandam is permanent, and that is the only thing which is not fleeting. All the other things, whatever we experience, are transient. So, Esha Rajalakshmi, Susthira Rajalakshmi, not like the usual Rajalakshmi who is very chanchala. So, Susthira Rajalakshmi, Susthira Rajalakshmi, Sanandam Avahati. Such a person enjoys this permanent state of Rajalakshmi called Shivanandam or moksha. So this is the meaning of this verse. We will do the entire verse once, the meaning, and then we'll chant the verse. Using an unfailing bunch of arrows, which are thoughts constantly centered on Shiva, shot from a curved bow formed by a deeply humble disposition, drawn tight with the string of intense devotion, the wise one, the Paramayogi, conquers enemies in the form of sins. Right. So this I missed mentioning. Kilbisha refers to sins. So here Ripun, also Arishad Vargas are conquered with Shivasmaranam. And these Arishad Vargas, these 6 internal enemies only ultimately make us to commit sins. Like Krishna says in Gita, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Upajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Bhijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammohaha Sammohat Smriti Vibhramaha Smriti Bhramshat Buddhinashaha Buddhinashat Pranashyati. So these internal enemies only make us to commit these sins. So when you want something and you don't get it, what is the natural consequence? Anger, krodha towards the person or the situation or whatever is coming in the way of acquiring that thing. Or you're just angry that you're unable to get whatever you want. Then with that anger, there is loss of reason. There is delusion. And an angry person doesn't know what has to be said, what shouldn't be said, what that viveka, kritya viveka, or vachyam and avachyam, what can be said, what cannot be said, such a person does not know. You lose your power of reasoning when one is angry. And buddhinasha happens. You lose your wisdom or intellect, power of thinking. Buddhinashat pranashyati. Right? And that causes people to commit sins. So with Shivasmarana, Kilbisha Ripun, the sins are conquered. Conquers, the Paramayogi conquers enemies in the form of sins. Having emerged victorious, he experiences boundless joy and ultimately attains the eternal and unshakable wealth, the supreme state of moksha. We'll chant the verse. Arudha bhakti guna kunchita bhava chapayuktai shiva smarana bana ganairamokaihi nirjitya kilbisharipun vijayi sudhindraha sanandamavahati susthira rajalakshmi. Okay. Now, Charu, will you be able to do this verse?
Yes, Bhagini.
Charu has to go to school today, so which is why she has to leave a bit early. Do you have time? 5 minutes, okay?
Yes, Bhagini, no problem.
Okay. Dhyananjanena samavekshya
ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य
tamah pradesham
तमः प्रदेशं तमः प्रदेशं
भित्वा mahabaliभिः
भित्त्वा महाबलिभिः भित्त्वा महाबलिभिः
ईश्वरनाममन्त्रैः
ईश्वरनाममन्त्रैः ईश्वरनाममन्त्रैः
दिव्याश्रितम्
दिव्याश्रितं दिव्याश्रितं
भुजगभूषणमुद्वहन्ति
भुजगभूषणमुद्वहन्ति भुजगभूषणमुद्वहन्ति
ये पादपद्ममिह
ते पादपद्ममिह ते ये पादपद्ममिह ते
ये पादपद्ममिह ते. First is ye, then is te. शिव ते कृतार्थाः
शिव ते कृतार्थाः शिव ते कृतार्थाः
ध्यानाञ्जनेन, ध is महाप्राण, समवेक्ष्य तमः प्रदेशं, तमः प्रदेशं उपध्मानीय तमः प्रदेशं उपध्मानीय विसर्गा followed by pa. भित्वा, bha is महाप्राण, महाबलिभिरीश्वर नाम मंत्रैहि. We don't split there. महाबलिभिरीश्वर नाम मंत्रैहि. दिव्याश्रितं, note the dvitvam. दिव्याश्रितं, sh is doubling. भुजग भूषण, Mahaprana. Bhujaga bhushana mudvahanti. The is doubling. Ye pada padmamiha te shiva. Ye pada padmamiha te shiva te kritarthaha. Okay, so here te, they sound the same, but they have a difference in meaning. We will see that. ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य तमः प्रदेशम्
ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य तमः प्रदेशम् ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य तमः प्रदेशम्
भित्त्वा महाबलिभिरीश्वरनाममन्त्रैः
भित्त्वा महाबलिभिरीश्वरनाममन्त्रैः भित्त्वा महाबलिभिरीश्वरनाममन्त्रैः
दिव्याश्रितं भुजगभूषणमुद्वहन्ति
दिव्याश्रितं भुजगभूषणमुद्वहन्ति दिव्याश्रितं भुजगभूषणमुद्वहन्ति
ये पादपद्ममिह ते शिवते कृतार्थाः
ये पादपद्ममिह ते शिवते कृतार्थाः ये पादपद्ममिह ते शिवते कृतार्थाः
उत्तमम् ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य तमः प्रदेशम् भित्त्वा महाबलिभिरीश्वरनाममन्त्रैः
ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य तमः प्रदेशम् भित्त्वा महाबलिभिरीश्वरनाममन्त्रैः ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य तमः प्रदेशम् भित्त्वा महाबलिभिरीश्वरनाममन्त्रैः
दिव्याश्रितं भुजगभूषणमुद्वहन्ति ये पादपद्ममिह ते शिवते कृतार्थाः
दिव्याश्रितं भुजगभूषणमुद्वहन्ति ये पादपद्ममिह ते शिवते कृतार्थाः दिव्याश्रितं भुजगभूषणमुद्वहन्ति ये पादपद्ममिह ते शिवते कृतार्थाः
ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य तमः प्रदेशम् भित्त्वा महाबलिभिरीश्वरनाममन्त्रैः दिव्याश्रितं भुजगभूषणमुद्वहन्ति ये पादपद्ममिह ते शिवते कृतार्थाः
ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य तमः प्रदेशम् भित्त्वा महाबलिभिरीश्वरनाममन्त्रैः दिव्याश्रितं भुजगभूषणमुद्वहन्ति ये पादपद्ममिह ते शिवते कृतार्थाः
तमं च हे शिव ओ परमेश्वरा ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य ये ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य ये दोस् हू ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य महाबलिभिः ईश्वरनाममन्त्रैः तमः प्रदेशं भित्त्वा ते भुजगभूषणं दिव्याश्रितं पादपद्मम् इह उद्वहन्ति ते कृतार्थाः. Okay, so hey Shiva, he is addressing Parameshwara. Ye, those who, that is the people who dhyananjanena samavekshya. Anjana refers to the collyrium or kajal, what we say. Which is applied to the eyes. So as we know, in many of our shlokas and our verses, Jnananjanam is referred to, or Dhyananjanam here. So that which helps us to see clearly, that is the Anjana, the collyrium applied to the eye. So very famous shloka, right? Ajnana timirandhasya Jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Ajnana timira andhasya, for a person who is blind because of Ajnana timira, the darkness of Ajnana. We are unable to actually see the light. So for such a person, Jnana Anjana Shalakaya, the one who applies that Anjanam or the ointment of Jnana to the eyes, Chakshuhu Unmilitam, by applying that ointment, the one who makes us to open our eyes and see the light of Jnana. Such a Guru, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, a very beautiful analogy. So Anjanam, that word, therefore I quoted that verse. Here, Dhyananjanena, with the ointment or collyrium of Dhyana, Samavekshya, who can see clearly. So only when there is Jnana can one see clearly. You all will be knowing a very famous, always the example is given while dealing with, the superimposition of avidya on Jnana or Vidya, the Rajju Sarpanyaya, which is very famous. So in darkness, or when it is not clear, or from a distance, a rope appears like a snake. Actually, is that rope a snake? No. In reality, it is actually just a rope. But for a person who is not able to see clearly, or when there's not enough light, or when there's something obstructing one's vision, when there's no clarity, one might get scared seeing a rope as a snake. Also, when you're outside, when there is some rope or creeper which is fallen, there is not light, but there is wind and you see it moving, you get even more scared, thinking it's some moving snake there. But when there is light showered, so just imagine suddenly someone switches on the light, or there's light which comes there, then very clearly you see it as a rope. It is not a snake. So what happened? That real knowledge that it is a snake was pervaded. There was that aropa, superimposition of ajnana or avidya, that it is a rope. Once that avidya goes away, you see the snake, you see the rope clearly, and it is not a snake. Another example given is Shuktau Rajata. That is the shell, when it has that luster, silvery luster inside, a shell has it. So on a beach or from a distance, when you see a shell with the silvery luster, from a distance, it looks like it is silver. But when you go near it and see, it is just a shell with that luster inside it. So that is another example. So in this Rajju Sarpa or Shukta or Rajata, what happened? The Jnana was clouded by avidya. Once that avidya goes, once that light shines, you will know a shell is a shell. It is not silver. A rope, it is a rope. It is not a snake. So this is the analogy given by Advaita and Shankaracharya. The world also appears like that to us because of Ajnana. It appears that, we don't see that Brahma Tattva. Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. We don't see that Brahma Tattva because of the Ajnana. Once the Ajnana goes, then we see that Yathartha Tattva. What is that? Paramarthika Satya we see. So, Dhyananjanena Samavekshya, having visualized the truth or Jnanam, with what? With the ointment of Dhyana, meditation. What does this mean? That meditation is one of the instruments to attain that Jnanam, to see the reality, to visualize reality or Parabrahman. What is that? Brahma Satyam, like very clearly Shankaracharya says, to visualize that ultimate Parabrahma Satyam, we need Dhyana as a means, that is the ointment. And once that is applied, the collyrium or ointment of Dhyana, you see things in their actual perspective with crystal clarity. Then further, Mahabalibhihi Ishvara Nama Mantraihi, with very strong mantras of Ishvara Nama. He is again and again reminding us, even in the previous verse and this verse, the importance of Bhagavan Nama Smarana. Especially in Kali Yuga, they say whatever people would achieve by elaborate yajnas, which dravya yajnas, which have so many procedures, etc. in Krita Yuga, in Kali Yuga, with simple Bhagavan Nama Smarana, you can attain that same fruit. You can attain Atma Jnanam with just Bhagavan Nama Smarana and Dhyana. So with Dhyana as the ointment and Mahabalibhihi Ishvara Nama Mantraihi, which are very strong. Look at that adjective used, Mahabalibhihi. He is showing that how powerful repeating the name of Bhagavan, which is very, very powerful. Mahabalibhihi Ishvara Nama Mantraihi. Ishvara Nama itself is the mantra. Mananat trayate iti mantraha. That which by repeating protects is mantra. So with very powerful Ishvara Nama mantras, Tamah Pradesham Bhitva, having Bhitva means to break open. And what is broken open here? Tamah Pradesham. The Tamaha is darkness. And here it refers to the darkness because of Ajnana. So with Ishvara Nama mantras, with powerful Ishvara Nama Smaranam, repeating the name of Ishvara, which is very powerful, one can break open or shatter that Ajnanam or that darkness. Tamah Pradesham Bhitva. Dhyananjanena Samaveksha, having seen the truth clearly with the ointment of Dhyana, which means these two are the means, Dhyana and Bhagavan Nama Smaranam. Again, very beautifully, whatever he has taught in, Sadhana Chatushtayam, Samadhi Shatka, etc., beautifully he's giving us in these verses. So with Bhagavan Nama Smarana and with Dhyana, having conquered the ignorance or having dispelled the ignorance of Ajnana and having seen the light clearly, that is having acquired that Atma Jnanam, then those people who have attained this, they divya ashritam, that which is sought by the devas, bhujaga bhushanam, that which is sorry, just a second. Divyashritam, the one which is sought by the devas, Bhujaga Bhushanam, that which is adorned by Bhujagas or the serpents. Te Pada Padmam, your lotus feet. Ye Udvahanti, the ones who experience. So here I told you the difference in Te and Te. So for those who are learning Sanskritam, here Te Pada Padmam here refers to your Pada Padma, your lotus feet, O Parameshwara. That is, Te means Tavate, Shashti Vibhaktihi of Yushmat Shabda. So Tava, He Shiva, Tava Pada Padmam. So instead of Tava, we use Te. There are two forms. Sometimes some Vibhaktis have two forms. This is one such. So Te Pada Padmam, your lotus feet. Ye Udvahanti, the ones who experience your lotus feet, O Parameshwara. Te kritarthaha. Here the te means those people. Sahataute. That is tad shabda. Prathama vibhakti bahuvachanam. Sahataute. They are kritarthaha. They are kritarthaha means the ones who have achieved the purpose of this life. A very beautiful word, kritarthaha. The purpose of human life, which is very clearly told by various acharyas, our Shankaracharya, is to attain that Paramapadam, to attain Bhagavan, to attain Shivanandam. It is not to just experience material worldly pleasures and perish. So they make this difference between bhubhukshus and mumukshus. Mumukshutvam, the desire, mokshasya ichcha mumuksha, the desire to attain moksha. That is the purpose of especially this human life, which others are not endowed with, other forms of life. So, Shankaracharya and Viveka Chudamani says how Manushyatvam is very difficult to get. Durlabham trayame vaitat daivanugraha hetukam Manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshrayah. Three things are very difficult to get in this life, he says in Viveka Chudamani. Which can happen only with daivanugraha, only with the grace of the divine can we get these things. One is Manushyatvam, this human form. Next, having attained this human form, mumukshutvam, the desire for moksha. Very few people will have that desire for moksha, because we think whatever we see in the world is real. We think that the transient worldly pleasures, materialistic pleasures, are the true pleasures when they are actually not. So the desire for moksha, again, very few are blessed with it. Then Mahapurusha Samshrayaha, the protection or the care of a Mahapurusha, of a Guru, that is also very difficult to get. So this Kritartha means the ones who have attained the purpose, achieved the purpose of this life. So they are the great souls. Te Kritarthaha, only they have attained the purpose of this life. Who are the people? Again, Dhyananjanena, ye, those people, Dhyananjanena samavekshya, having seen clearly with the ointment of dhyana, Mahabalibhihi Ishwaranama mantraihi tamah pradesham bhitva, having broken or shattered the darkness of ignorance with very powerful arrows of Ishwaranama, te Divyashritam Bhujagabhushanam Padapadmam Iha Udvahanti, those who seek or those who experience your divine lotus feet. And how are those lotus feet of Parameshwara? They are Divyashritam. They are always sought after by the Devatas, and they are Bhujagabhushanam. They are adorned by serpents. So only those jnanis who experience this divine feat of Parameshwara permanently have. And how do they do it? After conquering ignorance through Ishwaranama and Dhyana. Te eva is not here, but I'm just saying that only those are Kritarthaha. Hey Shiva, only those are the ones who are Kritarthaha, who are the ones who have achieved the purpose of this life, not others. That is the example. Here again, Dhyananjanena, Mahabalibhihi, Ishwaranama mantraihi, all these are in Karana Karakam. That is, they are instruments to achieve that state of Shivanandam. That is in Karana, is in Tritiya Bhakti. Okay, we'll do the meaning and then the verse. With meditation as the divine ointment that grants clear vision, the devotees perceive the darkness of ignorance, the inability to recognize the presence of Bhagavan within, and break through it. So they understand that Ishvara is there in the heart of everyone. That is what this verse says. And we don't see that Ishvara in everyone, in us and in everyone else, because of the Ajnana. And there's so many verses which come to one's mind. Guru Charanambuja Nirbhara Bhaktaha Samsarat Achirat Bhava Muktaha Sendriya Manasa Niyamadevam Drakshyasi Nija Hridayastham Devam. The final concluding verse of Mohamudgaram, which starts with Bhajagovindam, Shankaracharya says, only when you are devoted to the feet of a Guru, Guru Charanambuja Nirbhara Bhaktaha, Samsarat Achirat Bhava Muktaha, then you are liberated from this samsara. Sendriya Manasa Niyamadevam Drakshyasi Nija Hridayastham Devam. Only then will you see, when that Ajnana goes with the grace of a Guru, you will see Nija Hridayastham Devam, that Parameshwara, Ishvara, who is in the heart, Hridayastham Devam Drakshyasi, you will see. So that sight of Ishvara, the divine sight, here he refers to that as Samaveksha, having seen. Tamah Pradesham Bhitva, having removed that ignorance. Like Krishna says in Gita, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshejura Tishtati. Ishvara is there in the heart of all beings. So to visualize that Ishvara, that ajnana tamaha, that darkness of ignorance should go. So therefore, he is referring to the ointment of dhyana and the arrows of Bhagavan Nama, which are very powerful. So this is achieved through the immense power of Ishvara's sacred names and mantras, which are strong and unfailing. Those who in this very life realize and behold your lotus feet, adorned with serpents as ornaments, and revered even by the Devas, are truly blessed. O Bhagavan Shiva, they alone have fulfilled the ultimate purpose of life. Te kritarthaha. So let us chant the verse once. ध्यानाञ्जनेन समवेक्ष्य तमः प्रदेशम् भित्त्वा महाबलिभिरीश्वरनाममन्त्रैः दिव्याश्रितं भुजगभूषणमुद्वहन्ति ये पादपद्ममिह ते शिव ते कृतार्थाः. Okay, so we'll conclude here for today, and we will meet next class and continue. So please, all of you, continue practice and accurately, and also try to understand the meaning of the verses, because you have the English meaning also given to you. Try to appreciate that, and you can start making your own notes on Alankara, Chandas, different way Shankaracharya has referred to the mind, and the various Divya Deshams, the various centers of the spiritual centers which have been referred to by Shankaracharya. Many things you can do, those who want to, by referring to these verses. A very happy Deepavali to all of you. Deepavali Parvanaha, Hardaha, Anantaha, Shubhashayaha. Okay, I think very aptly we referred to Tamah Pradesham Bhitva and all. That is removing the darkness of ignorance with light before Deepavali. So happy Deepavali to all of you. We will meet next week. We will conclude with Shanti Mantra. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Ram 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 Sarvebhyah Punaha Deepavali Parvanaha Hardaha Anantaha Shubhashayaha Agami Shanivasare Punarmilamaha. Ram Ram Ram.